what do I need to do now before I can have my surgery? I still have to see an endocrinologist, which was that was the hardest to get into. I had to get a new primary, which I managed to do rather quickly. Fortunately, I didn't really pick my new primary. I took what I could get, but he was okay with clearing me for my hysterectomy. And I saw my neurosurgeon that was dealing with my 2 brain AVMs, and they did imaging and studies and stuff, and then they said that I had edema and swelling in the brain and all this kind of good stuff, but it was localized in my frontal lobes right around the AVMs, which meant that they radiated the right part, because I was fortunate enough it was close to my surface of my skin, or my brain, that I could have radiation therapy instead of open head neurosurgery, or up the artery and coil surgery, which would have been really dangerous and terrifying. I never want to have open brain surgery. Cross his fingers I never have to do that. And then the AVMs in my lungs, when they were running the scans to double check, the neurologist found the hepatic encephalopathy sign on my MRI. They thought it wasn't an artifact. Artifact is when the MRI just says a boop and it doesn't mean anything. That it wasn't that, because it was bilaterally, meaning it showed up in both parts of the MRI at just the appropriate intensity, equal intensity, in both areas of the brain that signal hepatic encephalopathy. So everything stopped ground to a halt. They said as far as my brain was concerned, the AVMs are smaller, they're healing. They're not going to go in and do neurosurgery to close them the rest of the way before I have my surgery. It takes 2 full years with radiation to close AVMs. And I was, when I got my follow-up scans, only at the 6-month mark. And I had just had a lung HHT scan before that. My follow-up with my lung doctor first, because I already had him on the schedule. And they found that I had grown a new AVM that was big enough to be operated on, just big enough to be operated on. And they decided it would be a lot more dangerous, and potentially deadly to strokes, heart attacks, bacteria, sepsis, infections, blood clots, etc. Death, if I didn't close the one in my lungs. Before I had a major surgery. So that's the surgery I just had. And they said after I have the surgery, they would clear me. So my pulmonologist would clear me. My neurologist, as far as what they were checking for, has cleared me. My liver function test came back fine. Thank God, or I would have no surgery. But I've got to call and schedule a liver ultrasound so they can see if there is some small AVMs in there. And that is cycling back dirty blood into my system, causing me to develop hepatic encephalopathy and repeat the MRI. But apparently with normal liver function tests and the need to have the hysterectomy, that is not top on the agenda. It's supposed to, the referral or the order runs out October 3rd, so I've got to get that done this month. And then the endocrinologist. I kept trying to get in. I never saw an endocrinologist. It was my pulmonologist, AHG specialist, that found the cortisol problem and did the cortisol testing and came up with a plan for surgery. But because he's not an actual endocrinologist, even though he had me do the testing and everything and found the problem and he came up with a plan, oncology wouldn't accept him. They wanted me to see an actual endocrinologist. So I have a new patient appointment on the 20th. Again, out of town. Almost all my appointments for all of this have been out of town. Virtual when I can, but all the testing and the procedures and stuff, all out of town. By like a 2-hour drive there and a 2-hour drive back. It's like $50 just to get there and back. And they gotta ultrasound my liver to make sure whether or not I have AVMs, because ultrasound with Doppler, I guess, is the best way to tell if you have AVMs in your liver. And I don't know what the treatment is. I haven't taken the time or had the time really to look. Last thing, when I was first diagnosed with this years ago, there was no treatment if you had AVMs in your liver. I looked up the treatment for hepatic encephalopathy, and it's like renal dialysis. They have to take all your blood out of your body, like on a dialysis machine, clean it, and give you back clean blood. And that lasts for a time. I didn't specify how much a time was in the article, and then you have to repeat it. I don't know if there's any treatment for liver AVMs. When I found out initially that I had this disorder, if you get a liver AVM, you were just kind of screwed. And so I don't know if they've advanced treatment for that or not, but I've still got that hanging over me. And then they're going to double check the MRI again and see if that sign is still there or has advanced at all, or it's gone. And I have to have a new patient appointment with an endocrinologist, and then I'm sure she's going to do the same thing that my other 2 doctors did, which was order tests to see whether she agrees with my pulmonologist, or it was going to be a she, I think it might be he now. But I'm hoping that they will pretty much just agree. They'll have me send me over to the lab and have me do a blood draw, a random cortisol draw, and they'll look over my past evidence and my response to cortisotropin, and they'll come up with the same conclusion in one appointment. But that's what I'm hoping, in one appointment, that I have the capacity sometimes for my adrenals to be very burnt out for reasons unknown yet, but the actual operation, bye-bye kitty, of my adrenal glands is what we need to know. The why will come next. Why they're doing that. Are they failing? Do I have an unusual AVM in my adrenals? Because I am on steroids, but very infrequently. I take them only for RA flares, so 30 pill prescription, and I take 5 milligrams to 10 milligrams at a time will last me months. A 30-day prescription will last me like 3 or 4 months because they're only for RA flares. So they figure it's not my medication, but they plan to treat me as if I was someone who has been on steroids consistently for a long time, which is stress test them pre-surgery for 2 days with cortisotropin. That's the hormone that makes our cortisol levels go up. And then I'll be up for the surgery no corticotropin during the day of surgery, and then titrate me down 2 days after surgery off of the corticotropin so that we make sure my stress levels in my body stay high. You need your cortisol to stay high. If you're having low cortisol, the shock of just getting surgery could kill you, which is understandable why they want me to see an endocrinologist first and not just take the word of a pulmonologist who's had endocrinology testing done. But because of the urgency, I was already supposed to have my hysterectomy by now. That's why I'm on hormones that they called while I was in the hospital getting my surgery. Put me on hormones. Hormones that make you eat. And then as a side effect, they shrink your endometrial lining, forestalling, slowing down the advancement of whatever is growing in there and elsewhere. They seem during studies to be effective for slowing the progression of uterine and breast cancer. So, but they're primarily made to make starving people medically due to AIDS or cancer eat. So yeah, I've already put on 5 pounds in a week. I'm hoping it's because I didn't go to the bathroom yesterday. Not because I put on 5 pounds in a week, because that's nuts. And I expect to put on some, but not 5 pounds a week. That's crazy. Anyway, so endocrinologist hopefully will just have me take a random cortisol test and will examine my past numbers and past tests and come to a conclusion about how to approach surgery, because it's a surgery consult is why I'm seeing them. And then from then forward, after the hysterectomy, I might come back and try to figure out why. I also have to do a follow-up chest CT angiogram, CT with angio, or CAT scan. That's what the surgeon wanted, a CAT scan. Some doctor ordered a CT with angio to check out my surgery they just did for my lungs. And that's set to expire by the 30th. And on the 30th, I have an upper and lower GI. We'll see if we find anything there. Throat structure will be stretched, hopefully. And then I won't choke all the time. And we'll see, because this is the first time I've gone 5 years out without having a colonoscopy. And it's been longer than 5 years, because 5 years was in February from when I was in my 20s, and they pulled out a massive colon polyp that was starting to become cancerous. Villus adenomatous polyp versus a cellus polyp. That's not the right word. A flat one that's just a normal little polyp. The tip had already shown changes. So I was on year colonoscopy, 2-year colonoscopy, 2-year colonoscopy, and out to 5 because they found more polyps, but they're sessile, that's the word, when they're flat and normal. And they found a combination of the protruding kind and the sessile kind. The thing about colon cancer is that it takes a while. It's a slow growing cancer. It has no symptoms often. That's why it's missed. And that's why, unfortunately, a lot of people die, like Black Panther died from it. But they gotta grow dome-like. The flat ones are fine. They don't change. The dome-like ones are the ones that are prone to change. And they can be 3 types of cellular structure looked under a microscope. And one of them is the most prone to change. It's a combination of these two all mixed together in one that's most likely to change of that kind of polyp. And of the protruding polyps, the adenomatous polyp is the one most likely to become cancer. So if they will see any of those, they take them all out and send them all to the lab. And then the lab looks at them and determines what kind of they are. and then looks at them under a microscope to find out what's going on there. And fortunately, like I said, I didn't have cancer yet. It was just the tip had already begun to change, so it hadn't got even down the polyp, and it's slow growing. So they check me yearly twice, biannually twice out of 5 years, and I can't get a hold of them. So I'm going through MSU or U of M, with hopes to return to my local gastro after the procedure. And I'm on copious amounts of stool softeners and diuretic medication, because morning and night, because of my 4 months of not going to the bathroom, basically at all. That has started for reasons unknown. Maybe my hepatic encephalopathy, my central nervous system is fucked because of liver encephalopathy, which is swelling of the brain, will cause you to be mad and lose your mind. Maybe my central nervous system is fucked up, and that's why I stopped going to the bathroom. Or maybe I got it because I stopped going to the bathroom. Who knows these things? The doctors don't yet. But I have to take that morning and night, morning and night, morning and night, along with my hormones, morning and night, morning and night, morning and night, up through the hysterectomy, unless something changes based on what they find in the upper and lower GI, because just having a small incision, which is now healed. You want to see my small incision? Now it's covered with a Band-Aid. It's really small. It looks like I cut myself shaving. All that bruising is because when I had to lay 6 hours flat, they didn't put any closures in it. Anything to close it off, no stitches, no glue, nothing. Just pressure, because I have this genetic disorder and I have to go back in, probably multiple times, in the same veins and arteries to get to my lungs, my brain, and all that stuff. So they don't want any debris in there. It's already got scar tissue. They want as little debris as possible to try and get in there going forward. So I was on my back for 6 hours, and then I sat up. They tilted the bed up, and I'm like, I'm all right. Everything's all good. And I had to sit at the edge of the bed, and then they got me the commode, and I walked to the commode. Commode, that's what they called it, the porta potty, the little hospital porta potty in my room. My room was short stay unit, so I had no windows, no curtains. It was like a little closet of a room with just the bed and the chair next to it, and just like a trash can. So they moved the porta john like right next to the bed, and I went over, went to the bathroom, happened to look down, didn't even feel it, probably because I was so constipated and in pain trying to go to the bathroom, but I didn't feel it. And I'm sure I was done going to the bathroom. I looked down, and that bandage that they started with was about this size, and it was clear. It had filled up like a balloon. It was burgundy. I could tell it was blood, and it was just continuing to expand and blow up like a balloon. That adhesive was crazy strong, because I had like a bubble of blood squirting out like this big, and the only thing holding it in my leg from just shooting across the room was it hadn't ripped the adhesive to the bandage. So I yelled for the nurse. I said, "We have a problem. Help, we have a problem." And sat my ass back on the bed, laid down real fast, and hit the nurse button. And this strong, damn, don't mess with her in a dark alley, strong nurse, she looked like a regular average middle-aged lady, grabbed it, and like, "You're not putting enough pressure, I can still feel it squirting out." And it was a little bit between her fingers, like, into the wall, into the wall. And she pressed even harder and like around, and then I didn't feel I couldn't tell if I was bleeding. I couldn't feel liquid trickling, and I was on my back. all hell broke loose trying to fix it. But she got it under control with pressure of like She-Hulk. It was amazing. I even complimented her while I'm laying there thinking I'm bleeding to death. I'm like, thank you for doing such a good job down there. She helped for like 25 minutes. She put pressure on the vein for like 25 minutes straight, hovered over the bed like squeeze on the ship. I'm like, I thank you so much. And like, I can feel your muscles twitching through your arm and down to your hands. You're putting incredible pressure there, and I can't thank you enough. That you're doing really hard work. Thank you so much. Just to try and encourage her and thank her, because all the while the commode was still in the room until some more nurses arrived, and then one of them finally took it away. So I'm like, I'm gonna die here, bleed to death, with a porta-john next to me. So that's what I gotta get done before I can have my hysterectomy. 6 weeks post this surgery, I'm healed enough to have another surgery. I have to get into the endocrinologist, do whatever testing they want to do, have a Doppler done on my liver, and a redo of my MRI, have an upper and lower GI, throat stretching and palectomy, and then get all the fax numbers for all of them doctors and have them sent to my oncologist, so my oncologist can fax out clearances where all of them doctors will gather all their information about me, fill out a piece of paperwork with all their information they've gathered and all their decisions that they've made to make surgery safe for me, and send it back to my oncologist. And my oncologist will review all this and come up with a plan for my surgery. And then they will schedule my surgery. So that's why it's taken a while. Don't have multiple chronic illnesses. Any surgery I've had in the past has never been an issue to have the surgery. I just had the surgery, so it's kind of scary. Tells me the level of seriousness of this surgery. And then I have to have all my other doctors give their authorization before I can have it. And all my doctors were not willing to give their authorization without doing imaging and testing and checking of their own issues before, to see if I was actually safe enough. And so it's definitely a major surgery, and that my doctors were unsure unless they made sure that I am a patient now. I'm like, there reaches an age when they just can't do more surgery because you've either had so much surgery or medical problems that doing surgeries on you, doing the thing that's going to save your life, is going to kill you. Has a high probability of killing you because of your other conditions. I didn't realize, did not expect that would start happening to me at the age of 38. 38. But yeah, I'm 38. That my first major surgery at 38 would be one that would be potentially hazardous to my health, to do what's absolutely necessary, which is get cancer, precancer, hopefully, just contained in my uterus, out of me. I fear for my future, even if everything right now goes smooth, for the way that my health already impacts whether or not we can do a procedure. I'm a 38-year-old woman. It should be pretty straightforward to get a hysterectomy. It's not for me. And how is all this going to impact my 40s, my 50s, my 60s, when I've acquired more conditions or had more surgeries to repair this or that or the other thing along the way. You know. But so yeah, I'm hoping sometime, the calendar's right there, that's why I keep staring meander, hoping that sometime in October I can get my hysterectomy. I will miss one of my favorite months of the year. But yeah, October, that's what we're hoping for. Especially at 5 pounds a week on that hormone medication means, let's see, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, could be like 60 pounds heavier. God, I hope it's just because I need to go to the bathroom. TMI, but that's a good outro. I didn't even plan an intro, I just started talking, so this is for you all on YouTube. Love you.